everyone, my name is Sarah and today I'm going to be talking all about the adaptations I've seen this year. When I say adaptations, I'm talking about books and comics and whatnot being turned into movies and TV shows, and if you know me at all, you know that I am a massive film buff and I'm always watching new stuff on Netflix, so having adaptations to check out is really my favorite thing in the entire world. When I'm not reading or writing, you can definitely either find me at the cinema or at home with my laptop watching a new series. I feel like I'm never not watching something new. There's always something that I want to talk about and scream about, and it's just so great. So today I'm going to be talking about all the adaptations that have graced our screen in the great year of 2019. And yeah, let's get started. The first one I have to talk about is, of course, 5 Feet Apart, which came out earlier this year and was definitely one of the main YA adaptations to come out of 2019. If you don't know, 5 Feet Apart follows two teens who both have cystic fibrosis and they're in hospital and they fall in love. Yep, when I heard that synopsis, I immediately thought of The Fault in Our Stars, and I was just like, you know, this is gonna be cliched and cheesy and it's gonna be like a repeat of, you know, that classic 2012 YA era where it was all sicklet, but I really enjoyed it. I listened to the audiobook of this novel before seeing the film, and I feel like that definitely helped me understand what it was more about going into it, because I feel like a lot of people definitely thought it was The Fault in Our Stars 2.0. I feel like 5 Feet Apart was a really great exploration of what cystic fibrosis actually is and what it means to kind of fall in love with someone who you can't be that close to and how painful that would be. I feel like both the film and the book were really authentic and really well done. I really enjoyed it. It was a tearjerker, so make sure you have a box of tissues on hand if you haven't seen it or read it yet. And of course, the two main actors in this film are just the most beautiful humans who ever existed. Oh my god. I loved this one. I would give it a 4 stars, so yeah, go check it out. The next adaptation I have to talk about is Umbrella Academy, which everyone, and I mean everyone, was raving about back when it came out in like February. So yeah, of course I had to watch it. This is a Netflix series based on a comic which is about young adults who have powers. These young adults who have powers grew up together and then they eventually grew apart, and when their like foster father figure dies, they all thrust back together and there's weird stuff going on in New York and they all have to kind of work together. I really wanted to love this series and I feel like I'm definitely in the minority by not loving it, but I just found this series super complex and there were so many characters to follow and I just felt myself getting lost, and the episodes were kind of long and there was a lot of them and I couldn't finish all of it. I think I watched 3 to 4 episodes of this and then I just got distracted by other stuff. If I really loved it, I would have dedicated the time to finishing this series, but unfortunately it wasn't really for me. There was only like 1 or 2 characters that I absolutely loved, and the others I was like, meh, like I wouldn't take a bullet for you. Klaus, though, he was absolutely amazing, and after watching 3 to 4 episodes of Umbrella Academy, I went and watched Misfits because I hadn't seen it and I absolutely loved it, and Klaus is just incredible. I'd give this show like a 2 stars. Like, I still really enjoyed what I watched, but not enough to continue with it, unfortunately. The next movie I watched was Pet Sematary, which is based on the book of the same name by our king, Stephen King. See what I did there? It's kind of hard to explain, but basically there's this family and they're new to town and the family's cat dies and the daughter is like really devastated about it. So the father goes into the woods to, you know, like go and bury it, and he meets this guy who's like, oh, like, you know, if you bury creatures over there, they get resurrected and they come back, but be careful because they're not like the same person or creature that they used to be. But the father's like, meh, I'll do it. So he buries the cat there. It's creepy. Anyways, more people die, more people get buried there. It's like messed up. But I loved it. I am a massive fan of horror films. I'm very easily pleased when it comes to horror. I'm just in it for a good scare and a good story, and that's what Pet Sematary gave me. I can't compare the two because I haven't read the book, but based on the film, I really enjoyed it. I really want to read Stephen King's novels. I've never read anything that he's written, and I feel like that's sacrilegious as a writer and a reader myself. But yeah, I liked Pet Sematary. I'd give it a 4 stars. Next up, I watched A Dog's Way Home, which is a part of that series like A Dog's Journey, A Dog's Purpose. Yep, that's also one of them. There's a whole bunch of them all about dogs, and it's just super cute and super sad sometimes, and it just hurts my soul, okay? A Dog's Way Home is basically about this dog who's like rescued from this house that's being demolished, and then they're taken away by the authorities, and then the dog is sent to go live on this farm away from the humans that it knows and loves, and it's all about this dog's journey to try and find them again. It's really emotional, of course. Following a dog and seeing all of its struggles and its triumphs like really gets you. Even if you're not a dog person, like it's impossible not to feel something when watching these films. But in saying that, it's not like the best film. It's not exactly a quality movie. I wouldn't like rave about it endlessly or like recommend it to get an Oscar, but it was entertaining, and for that I'd give it 3 stars. Next up, I watched one of the most talked about shows in 2019, and that is Good Omens, written by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. Good Omens is a show about an angel and a demon who form an unlikely friendship when they're forced to try and find this 11-year-old kid who is the Antichrist to stop Armageddon from happening. It sounds pretty serious, but it is such a fun show. It's hilarious, and it's starring Michael Sheen and David Tennant, and it's just absolutely incredible. I haven't read the book, but I've heard that's really humorous as well, so I'll definitely have to get around to doing that. But I've watched this show twice fully, and then I've just gone back and watched bits and pieces of episodes because they're so great. Plus, everyone ships Aziraphale and Crowley, and it's definitely a thing. If you haven't got around to watching it, I'd definitely put this one at the top of your list. It is phenomenal. I think there's only like 6 episodes in this series, so you can easily smash through them in a night, and I definitely recommend doing so. 5 stars. The next book to movie adaptation I've seen this year is, of course, It Chapter 2. This is another one that has been super hyped, of course, following the release of It Number 1, which everyone loved and I loved, and it was super scary. So of course, on the opening week, I rushed out to go and see number 2. As I said before, I haven't read any Stephen King books, so I had not read it before seeing it, but I did really enjoy it. As a massive horror fan, I'm just really in it for the scares, and boy was this film spooky. I don't want to say too much and give anything away, but basically it's about the same kids who were in It Part 1, like 20 years later or something. When they're like fully grown up, they come back to the town where all of the creepy stuff originally happened, and they have to try and stop this evil clown from killing again. I really loved the majority of this film. I loved all like the creepy aspects and where they had to go and how they like developed this plan to try and defeat this thing, but I didn't love the ending, and I feel like that's been a common thing with people who have seen it. I've also heard that Stephen King has like not the best endings sometimes with his novels, so that's probably what happened there. But yeah, on the whole, I did really enjoy it. I mean, I did crack up at the ending, so that's probably not a good sign. But I'd still give it like 4 stars. It was pretty good. Next up, another show that I watched was Looking for Alaska, which I watched on Stan, and I believe it's a Hulu show. If you've for some reason been living under a rock for all these years, Looking for Alaska was originally a John Green novel that was released way back in the day. I read it when I was in year 8 at the peak of the John Green obsession in my life, and I really enjoyed it. But I kind of forgot that this was being made into a show, and I started seeing ads for it, and I'm like, oh yeah, this was a thing. I have to admit, I've only seen 2 episodes of this show. Yeah. Kind of an unpopular opinion here, but I didn't really think it got off to the quickest of starts. I get that it's meant to be like, you know, kind of slow and drawing you in and everything, but I'm so used to like fast-paced shows and everything, and this kind of wasn't it for me. I've forgotten how poetic the characters spoke in the novel, but seeing them like kind of speak that way in the show, sometimes it just didn't really feel real to me. And I get that that's like John Green's writing voice and everything, but I don't know, it's not really captivating when I'm watching like a 40-minute episode. I don't know, maybe I'm just being overly critical because the book was like this thin and I absolutely smashed through it. But I struggled to get through the series. I mean, I'm only 2 episodes in and I am planning on returning eventually, but who knows when that will be. I'd probably give it 2 stars so far. The second to last book to movie adaptation I've seen this year is another Stephen King one. I know this is turning into the Stephen King show, but I kind of love it. And that is Dr. Sleep. I have to admit, I only saw The Shining like 2 months ago, and it was released ages ago. Like, I can't believe why it took me so long. But I saw it in this old cinema near my house, and it was like a crowded session, and it was just the best. So after I saw The Shining, and when I heard Dr. Sleep was like a sequel to The Shining, I knew that I had to see it. I'd seen trailers for Dr. Sleep before I'd seen The Shining, but I had no clue that the two were related. So I'm definitely glad I saw The Shining before Dr. Sleep because I would have understood nothing. Similar to It Part 2, Dr. Sleep is about the boy who was in The Shining and he's all grown up. This is like 30 years later, and he discovers that other people have like this shining kind of magical ability that he has, and they're being hunted. When he meets this girl who's been tracked down by these people that kind of feed off the energy of The Shining and kill these people, he decides to kind of lay a trap and return to the original hotel that featured in The Shining to defeat these people. I really enjoyed Dr. Sleep. Again, horror, definitely my thing. I loved it. It wasn't as scary as It Part 2 or Pet Sematary, which I was kind of upset by. But I mean, The Shining wasn't really a scary film. Sure, there was like 1 or 2 jump scares, but that's basically it. It was alright. It wasn't as good as the other 2 films by him I've seen earlier this year. I'd give it a 3 stars, but I'm still glad I saw it. And it's kind of like, I finished The Shining. I finished that duology and I'm happy. And of course, the last adaptation I've seen this year is of course Let It Snow by John Green, Lauren Miracle, and Maureen Johnson. I can't believe our screens have been blessed with 2 John Green adaptations this year. I mean, that's pretty cool. Let It Snow is a Christmas film set in this small town one snowy evening, and it follows 3 main stories. One of them's about a girl who meets this guy who's a famous singer. Another one is about this guy trying to tell this girl how much he likes him, and they've been friends for ages. And the last one is about this girl who has a crush on another girl and things are not going the best. I had completely forgotten what this book was about. I read it ages ago and literally nothing stuck from that book. It was like a book that I enjoyed when I read it, but I wouldn't like go running back to it immediately. However, I loved the film. It was super cute and funny, and it had a diverse cast, and it just gave me all the feels, and I loved that. For this YA adaptation, there's nothing really more I could have wanted from this film. I loved it. It was super fun, and it's one that I know so many people are just gonna gather on the couches for around Christmas time and just enjoy, and that makes me so happy. I'd give this one a 4.5 stars. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching my 2019 adaptations wrap up. If you've seen any of these shows or movies, do let me know what you thought of them down in the comments because I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye everyone!